Okay, I think that's everything. So enjoy. See you soon.
Thank you, Beth. So hi everyone, welcome along to Tuesday morning, isn't it? Right, it's Tuesday morning. Welcome those of you who are here and those of you online. So we begin as we normally do. You all know this class is about meditation. So we begin with a meditation where we set our motivation and we say a few prayers together. There's a visualization and then I'll begin the class. So the first thing is that you guys get comfortable in the seat. So this basically means that your feet are either flat on the floor or a cushion, that your back is straight and your shoulders are relaxed. You can place your hands wherever they feel most comfortable, and you can do this meditation with your eyes open or closed. So when you're sitting comfortably in your seat, just to let the body breathe itself. And as the body breathes itself, become aware of the movements that take place anywhere within the body. The mind is focused on the body and the movement that takes place whenever you inhale and exhale breath. And you'll be able to hear the sounds of the workmen next door, but this need not distract you. It's just sound. Your attention is focused upon your own body, which is breathing itself. And while the body is breathing itself and you're focused upon that process, relax and be at ease. Being relaxed and at ease, imagine the Buddha and his spiritual entourage as figures of golden light appearing in front of you. And surrounding you, imagine your parents, your family, close friends, difficult people, and strangers. And recognize our shared desires for happiness and freedom from suffering. And though we appear to be separate and independent from one another, this is an illusion. It's an illusion because we exist in the opposite way. We exist dependent upon one another. So this wisdom that realizes dependence, interdependence, combine it with affection and decide to give up being indifferent to the concerns of others and to let go of using others for your own benefit. And instead, directing your awareness and your life into the direction of liberation for the sake of yourself and for the benefit of others. Bring about this liberation from freedom, this liberation of freedom, and the freedom from the disturbing emotions. We're going to take refuge in those who've already done that, in their teachings and in them as a community. And so we can say, I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. So in response to this wish of ours, imagine colourful nectars and lights showering down from the beings of the refuge field. Imagine this nectar and light that is washing away all of our wrong views, our arrogance, and our selfishness. So that we feel cleansed by wisdom and love. And having the mind clear and clean, we recollect the four immeasurable thoughts of compassion, love, joy, and equanimity. And we decide to establish these within ourselves and help everyone else do the same. And so we say, may all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings never be separated from the happiness that is without suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. And in response to this wish of ours, again, colourful nectars and lights shower down from the Buddha and the Bodhisattvas. And our malice, personal distress, overexcitement and indifference that hinder our spiritual growth are washed away. And cleansed by wisdom and compassion, we should glow with an inner light. We feel stronger and more at ease. And remembering the shining examples of the refuge field, the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, and wishing to possess similar qualities to them, we prepare ourselves to gather the two accumulations of merit and wisdom so that we can become fully awakened people. So we say, reverently I prostrate with my body, speech and mind. I present clouds of every type of offering, actual and imagined. I declare all my negative actions accumulated since beginning this time, and rejoice in the merit of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until the end of cyclic existence and turn the wheel of Dharma for living beings. I dedicate my own and others' merits to the great enlightenment. And again, we remember that though everything seems to be very real to us, it's not as real as it seems to be. By doing this, we don't cling to ourselves so tightly, to our ideas and to the world. And in that absence of clinging, we imagine that we can create a pure land of our body, speech and mind and give it away. So we say, this ground, anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Mary, 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as the Buddha field and offered. May all living beings enjoy this pure land. Idam Guru Ratnamanda Kamnayatayami. So we release our offering. The Buddha accepts it with delight, and he smiles at us. Now we look up into his face and we look into his eyes. And looking into the eyes of the Buddha, we find immense compassion, comfort, and acceptance. And so we ask the Buddha to help us stop all the wrong thoughts that we have, to help us create right thought, and to remove any obstacles that we might experience, whether they be inside ourselves, outside of ourselves, or secret. And we say, Guru Buddha, please bless us and all beings just like us to understand and to feel impartiality towards one another, to recognize everyone as our mother and remember her kindness. We want to repay that kindness, to feel love and compassion, and be determined to awaken ourselves to all the good qualities that we have in potential, and have our wisdom and our compassion flourish. Now, in response to this wish of ours, think that an emanation of the Buddha leaves his heart, moves through space, and it comes to rest just above the crown of your head, and is looking in the same direction you are. Now the emanation descends, enters the crown of your head, comes down through your skull, through the throat, and comes down through your chest. It rests just above your heart, and its radiance begins to expand, filling your body and mind with light. And the light goes out through the pores of the skin and begins to fill the 10 directions of space. And wherever there are living beings, they exist within space. As the light pervades all of space, all of these beings are touched by the space and awakened fully into the omniscient state of Buddhahood. And there's a sense of accomplishment that arises within you. You've fulfilled your own purpose and you've helped others do the same. And then the light begins to withdraw from the 10 directions of space and it re-enters your heart. And you can feel the body breathing itself, and you know you're sitting on a chair or a seat. You'll also know that this meditation was one of imagination. Imagination is an act of the mind. This mind, your mind, has been imprinted with this activity of yours. It's placed upon the mind a condition to bring about full awakening for yourself, which will be of benefit to all beings. I think I've got to listen to these teachings, contemplate them, meditate upon them, and put them into action. Because just wishing, just imagining that I'm enlightened is not enough. You have to actually do it. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to live this life meaningfully. by developing my wisdom and my compassion and every other skill I have to be of benefit to others. And now just breathing in through your nostrils, exhaling through your mouth with your eyes flutter open. Move your body whichever way you want to. You feel quite at ease. So this is class 3 in this series of learning how to meditate. So we've covered a bit of material. We began by looking at what meditation was or is and its purpose. So what meditation is just a means to become familiar with something. The something is most often the case of virtue. This virtue is seen as a major cause of happiness. And its purpose, again, is dependent on what you want to do with this virtue. You want to become happy in just this life, or is it aimed at future lives, or is it aimed at your own liberation or enlightenment? Which leads us to the motivation. So we need to be clear about what we're doing and why we're doing it. And at the end of a meditation session, you should always take the effort that you've put into doing it and, say, okay, I've spent 5 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes trying to accomplish something. I want this effort to go in that direction. And there are many different types of meditation. They can all be put into 2 categories called stabilizing and analytical. So stabilizing meditation is where we just place the mind on its object. Could be the breath, it could be an image of a Buddha, it could be kindness. Analyzing is a process of sort of thinking and reasoning so that we know why we're doing it. We know how we're doing it. We can also see what we're doing when we're doing it. And last week we looked at how the purpose of concentrating on the Buddha. We talked about like what I asked you in the beginning, what do you think a Buddha is? So many of us said we think the Buddha is a person or the Buddha is a statue, but Buddha is really mind. Buddha is the mind whereby all of its potentials are being realized. And that's what we're aiming for, right? We say, I want to become a Buddha, meaning I want my potentials actualized, the potentials of body, speech, and mind. And we go, why? It's to bring about benefit for others. Now, it's not easy to meditate, that's for sure. Anybody who started will know this. So there are many types of hindrances that come up, many things that make it hard. So today we're going to talk about some of those hindrances. So one very common one is called sleepiness or lethargy, where you just feel tired. And often this is the case that you don't feel tired before you begin, and as soon as you begin, you're really tired. But it's a strange thing. Now, although we meet up with these hindrances, there are antidotes to them, meaning there are things we can do to stop this problem. Now, we're going to talk about one of the first steps that we can engage in when we try to meditate. And this step is one of the steps that we use to create a type of meditation called serenity. So there are different names for serenity. One is calm abiding, and it's also seen as one of these ways of stabilizing the mind. The thing that makes this type of meditation very hard is laziness. And there are different types of laziness we can meet up with, and we'll talk about each of those. Now, as we go through, we're going to be pausing, and within those pauses, that's where you guys can ask questions, and then we'll do a short meditation. Now, to present the course, I've relied upon this material here. Past teachings from Khyentse Rinpoche, Geshe Chanchen Seren, and Chogyam Rinpoche. But Chogyam Rinpoche was here a number of years ago, and he did this talk how to develop serenity down in Sydney. So I was really interested in that and went down for it. And so we're going to rely upon that sort of information. In here, probably the simplest book to read would be The Attention Revolution in the middle. On each side, we've got Study and Practice of Meditation and Walking Through Walls. They're like reading a PhD in meditation. It's really intricate, and I mean, you learn a great deal, but it's not easy to read the material. Yeah. These two other ones are quite straightforward and easy to read too, Following the Buddha's Footsteps and The Foundation of Buddhist Practice. And this book down here, the last one, Steps on the Path to Enlightenment, that whole book is just on this practice called serenity or shamatha. Like there's 500 pages there. So it's you can go quite in depth on this material. Like I said, so the meditation we'll be looking at today is serenity or stabilizing meditation, concentration. And we're going to be looking at some of the difficulties and hindrances. We'll meet up and we try and what we can do about it. So you saw this slide last week. This time I'll just use a different image. When we stabilize the mind or concentrate the mind, the idea is to fix the mind firmly on its object and to keep it there. And that's all we need to do. In terms of the serenity meditation, there are 9 stages you go through till you finally achieve the goal called serenity. When you achieve this goal, you'll know it because the mind is very serviceable and the body feels very light, and the mind and the body are sort of suffused with pleasure. It becomes very, very easy to meditate. Getting there, not so easy. So I've read they've done a lot of study, but they took a number of Western students and tried to develop this serenity. So within 1 year, they got up quite high, and they said within another year, we would have probably accomplished it. But this is like doing 14 sessions a day, 15 sessions a day. And what's interesting is the sessions aren't long. You don't do long sessions. So as a beginner, it's a mistake to try and do it too long. You're much better off to do short sessions because it's easier to concentrate. You don't want to become tired and discouraged or to fall into these hindrances, which is easy to do when you start and the meditation is too long. So names for this type of meditation are, like I said, placement, concentration, samadhi, and then we have karma binding, serenity, and shamatha. They basically all mean the same. They're just different terms that you come across them in different books. So I'd like to stop there, even though the pause is not the end game. Do you guys have anything you'd like to say at the moment?
It's just good to hear that shorter is better, because otherwise it's really daunting.
Yeah, and if you try and make it too long in your capacity, it's very easy to become discouraged because you will find yourself assailed by hindrances like coughing, sleepiness, pain, all sorts of things are going to arise. And this is primarily because we've lived our lives distracted. And our mind's always going outwards onto other things. When you start to meditate, you're bringing your mind inwards. And suddenly you find, gosh, there's a lot going on, like inside this thing called the body and mind. So to become successful at meditating, there are a number of different conditions that we require to support us. So we're going to look at those first. And these are called the 6 conducive conditions to develop a single-pointed, concentrated mind. So I often say, put yourself in a natural place. Well, for us, it's probably unlikely. I mean, we'd have to go into nature somewhere, wouldn't we? Most of us are living in the city or in towns. So our favourable place will be the place we like to meditate. So we have to have a favourable place. So this will be somewhere at home for most of us. So the idea is create a good place for yourself, a place that you'd like to go into. And you know, oh, that's where I meditate. And that's all you do there. So don't do it from bed, because bed is where you sleep also. And the habit is sleeping. So if you try and meditate in bed, oftentimes you'll end up going to sleep. So you need a good place, something where it's calm, quiet, it's conducive to your health, it's free from what they call commotion and the hubbub. So right here would not be so good for us, right? Because we've got all the traffic out there and we've got workmen next door. So this would create disturbances for us. So this would not be good at the moment. Also, it's good to have friends nearby that know what you're doing. Because when you decide to develop a mental quality, it takes quite a bit of effort to do it. So you think, okay, I'll be meditating quite often. So say I'm going to meditate for a week. Well, let some people know what you're doing, and they'll be able to go out and get you the food that you want. They can, you've got your house, so you can shower, you've got a bed, you can sleep, that sort of thing. But you don't want to be going out of the house and shopping or going to the doctors, all that sort of stuff. Like, get that done first. Now you've got some clear time. Otherwise, it'll really impact upon your meditation. And you don't want that if you're quite determined to develop a mental quality.
And it's nice for the friends to be able to support you because it puts in place causes for the friends' future success in meditating.
Yeah, and we've got to remember, we're not doing it just for ourselves, right? We're doing it for our friends as well. So you need a good place. And when we go to meditate, we have to have a clear understanding of what we're trying to do. And knowing what we're trying to do, but how to do it. If we're saying, if we acknowledge ourselves, I'm a bit of a cranky person, I don't really get on well with all that people, or I do for a little while, but then I get upset quite quickly. So I want to meditate on patience or kindness. I want to overcome my anger. So you should know, first of all, this is not going to take place in a week, right? But I'm going to make an effort anyway. And how am I going to do that? What do I have to do? This has got to be clear. So you need to understand, first of all, what anger is. You'll need to know what the antidotes to anger are. Usually these seem to be patience and love and kindness. And then you'll need to know, well, how do I become patient? What do I do? If I want to create kindness or a sense of care to others, how do I do that? And how does that actually go against anger? So if that's all clear to you, then you have confidence. You go, okay, well, yeah, I'm ready to go. It's not that you're going to go and then, now what do I do? That's what these classes are for. That's what the books are for. You work all that out first, and you go, okay, I'm ready to go to work now. And when you want to go, you want to have as few desires as possible. The major desire should be to accomplish this goal that you've set for yourself. Now, what you'll find, especially as we are as beginners, how desire overwhelms you. Right? You sit there and you think, I'm going to do this, and the next thing it's like, I'll just, maybe I should vacuum the floor. I'll just need something to eat. Oh, what's that sound out there? All sorts of things come up. And
I'll just get some nicer altar cloths.
Yeah, you get sort of distracted. So we need to have a sense of contentment about ourselves, the place we're in and what we're trying to do. And to have as few worldly activities as possible. So one of the ways you do that is look at what you're responsible for at present and accomplish it now so that you have this clear space to meditate in. Like I said, if you find your health is not so good, then get to the doctors before you do this retreat, before you do a couple of days, right? Get it sorted. And if you have appointments, either put them off or go to them first and then do your retreat. And you also need to have a sort of sense of ethics. Why this is important is because if you've been a sort of a nasty person and you've got things hanging out the background, the mind's going to pick up on that again. You don't want that. You want to be at ease. You don't want to think, geez, I hope the police don't come knocking on the door for what I did 5 years ago, or something like that. You don't. So you try and get all that sorted beforehand. So this is just like to get yourself there, So, and this type of, when we talk about conducive conditions, we're looking here at a type of like what we call a retreat scenario. So the retreat's got two aspects. One is you're sort of withdrawing from the ordinary activities of what we normally do, what we call the world, right? So you're pulling yourself back. You're going to, no, I'm just going to stay in my room for a couple of days or 3 months or a year, whatever. This is what I'm going to do. So that's one aspect. The other thing is what we mean by retreat is to withdraw your senses from the activities of the world, and you've got to come back inside. So two retreats are going on here. One is we're separating ourselves, our body, and all of our activities from the world, and the other is not sort of like looking at TV and the news and all that stuff. So that our attention's going outward, now it's going inward. So because with meditation, we're becoming familiar with inner objects. And these inner objects are meant to decrease our dissatisfaction with the world and ourselves and increase or bring about a sense of flourishing. And then become, like I said, more patient, feel happier inside. So we're drawn inside to do the inner work. Now, when we attempt to do this, pretty much straight away we're going to be hindered. And there's 5 major types of hindrance that we're going to meet. And this is what they are. Sensual desire would be the first one. Then there's a sense of malice. So you're going to be surprised at how angry you find, how much anger there is within you. And so much desire too. And when that's not happening, you're going to get tired and sleepy. And when that doesn't happen, you're really restless. And you have regrets about what you're doing. And lastly, you end up with a lot of doubts. They just come at you. So this happens with all meditators. These are the most common hindrances to your attempts at meditation. So here I think it's a good time to stop and go, what's interesting for you? Do you have any questions at all about what we've looked at so far? So remember, we've just looked at these 6 conducive conditions and the 5 hindrances you meet up with.
Back one slide so we can look at the.
So we have, here's our hindrances.
It's really good to know this is a common experience, and so to not feel bad like, oh, I'm a failure and I'll never be able to do it, and there's something wrong with me.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with you at all. Oftentimes these are not obvious to us because we're so busy, right? From a Buddhist perspective, people could call distracted or lazy because all of our efforts are going out there into the world. So we get busy, just we do things, do lots and lots of things.
It's amazing being fairly new to Buddhist meditation. I've done my meditation for many years, but it's not at all
mapped out like this.
Yeah, mapped out like this. But I'm finding I have been struggling. I'm really struggling, but even though I'm struggling, I'm getting a side benefit from it. I don't know what's happening to me.
Well, so when I say, my teacher, Pinsa Rinpoche, used to say, if you're not struggling, you're not meditating. Struggle is part of it. If you're not struggling, it's like, well, what are you doing? It's like you're going to like I said, we have to oppose this inner confusion. So it requires, effort. It's a sort of a fight. It's an inner fight. Yeah, so I think this is good. As long as you don't get if you do get overwhelmed, stop. Just stop. Just go, okay. That'll be for now. I'm going to come back to it. It's not like you give up altogether. It's just right now, it's too much. So often that's when you take a little break. Like go outside, just look up at the sky, just breathe. Don't self-talk and put yourself down and think, just go, okay, I need a break. I've been fighting hard.
And also what you said, that then outside of the meditation session, when you feel calm, that's because that's the benefit of the struggle. Yeah, but it's a bit counterintuitive at first.
Very much so.
But this process I find really similar to the creative process too. When you sit down and to have that whole interior making an artwork, it's the same kind of distractions.
Yeah.
And the procrastination involves a lot of that, and the right at the end, the deluded doubt where you think, oh, everything I'm doing is, useless, and like all of this. And as a creative process, I know, oh, that's just what you go through.
Yeah. So Ms. Holdness says, while sitting in meditation, you may notice that the mind can be restless one moment and drowsy the next. This indicates that lethargy and sleepiness are not necessarily signs of physical fatigue or lack of sleep. They are often a way that ignorance and resistance sabotage your attempts to meditate. There's another one. He says, lethargy and sleepiness are two distinct mental factors, meaning they're quite different from one another, but they're explained together because they have the same cause, function, and antidote. They're caused by 5 factors. Bad dreams. This is another thing that happens when you start meditating, right? The dreams become quite weird. You can either have a whole lot of them, and sometimes they're really distressing. And you think, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. But this is just what happens. Like you're sort of dredging the psyche, right? What you've got to think of is in a good way, is like, I'm releasing it. It's being released. Thank goodness it's just in a dream. It's like, when you put your clothes in the wash, right? You put them in because they're dirty, right? And the dirt comes out. Right? It's the same here. You sit down, you go in. You're going to notice the dirt. Right? And most times you don't like it. Well, you don't want to have that. That's now adding to it. You don't need to do that. In fact, you've got to go, well, great, it's being released. It's uncomfortable. But this is the process. This is the process of meditation.
So it is all natural.
Yeah, it's just so there are many. So with that, it's like that's what we call purifying the mind. The mind is being purified. So when anything's purified, you got to sort of think it's like the sequence of washing. My practice, it's like I'm putting in the soap in the water, and that's just your attention. Just because you pay attention, suddenly the stuff is noticeable. And what you've got to do is just relax enough for it to be released. The major thing with this is relaxation. Don't become more tense and try harder. That's not the way to go. You'll cause yourself to have a breakdown. Yeah, so lots of stuff happens anyway. So this is, again, why it's very important to come back to your motivation. If your motivation is good and clean and strong, you'll keep going.
Diane says, so nightmares are seen as a release in Buddhism. That makes me feel less scared of them.
Yeah, oh, good. That's right. Yeah. In fact, for many of these things, like what we normally think is a bad thing, from the Buddhist view is a good thing. which just shows you how much things are dependent on the mind. They're not good or bad in themselves.
About anxiety.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, anxiety is another one. So the major thing with anxiety is to try to relax more. Or you can confront it. So when you have anxiety, so anxiety will express itself in different ways, won't it? So it can be expressed physically, and then there'll be the mental component. Then there'll be the thoughts about their anxiety. So you've got to work out, am I creating more anxiety with my thoughts, or is this a sense of anxiety? If it's a sense of anxiety, relax more, let it go. It's a release. So you've got to look at it like, oh, the anxiety is always there, and now it's being released. What I have to do is accept it and rest more, relax more, try to relax, just try to be present and think of it as a good thing that's going. However, if you're creating it with your mind, so this might be happening physically, but then the mind is coming along and saying stuff about it. Now, when that happens, a very simple technique to use is to ask yourself, is that true? Are your thoughts true? But as soon as you ask that, you're going to get a gap straight away. And you'll find in that gap, you're not anxious. And then you might go, and then, you know, your mind might go, yeah, it's true. And you go, are you sure? You know, so you can use this technique.
Diane also asked, what if you have recurring dreams or themes? Is that something you should meditate on in the day?
No, you don't need to. So one of our students had 2 years of nightmares and thought there was something really wrong. He had these horrific dreams, like for 2 years. And his major practice at that time was Vajrasattva practice, which is a purification practice. So he thought there was something wrong, and he took it to his teachers. He says, no, there's nothing wrong here. But this is a good thing. It's uncomfortable. You don't, of course, you want to have a nice sleep, but you're not getting a nice sleep. You've got this type of sleep. So look at it as being this release of all the negative patterns and that sort of thing.
And that's because he was meditating so intensively on Bodhisattva.
Yeah, and he's doing it every day, and he's doing the mantra all the time, and he had a session in the morning, a session at night. Of course, this could happen. So the thing to remember here is, from the Buddhist perspective, the mind has no beginning and no end. So just the amount of crap you can put into your mind, but the mind is like that. So you got to think, well, you know, stuff I could have done if my mind was beginningless and endless, all I could have thought. I mean, just in this life, it's all people are crap, haven't they? The other thing is with anxiety, it's also good. So when we're meditating, we're often sitting still, and it's all mental activity. And like I said, don't do long sessions, especially as a beginner. Just short sessions, but like you're on target. When you get up, when you're not doing it, you've got to eat well. You should be doing some physical exercise. Don't just lie around. Use your body. So this is very good now. There's so much material online. So you find Qigong, Tai Chi, slow body movements, breathing exercises. But breathing exercises are fantastic for anxiety. You start working on the body aspect. You go, okay, so that'll take care of that, but I've still got mental development to do, so I'll work on the mental side too. So some of the causes of lethargy and sleepiness. So this assailed me when I began. But I'll sit there like that and you just go, this is how you know. You're sitting there, you're walking in, everything's fine. This is not unusual. I remember some of the nuns sitting up at the front, they're all there like this. They're great, they talk about compassion and love. Geshe starts talking about emptiness. And they can't stop your body, it just does it. You know, wow, how strange. And it is, like you can't, it's hard to say why things are happening. They are happening, but point down saying it's because of this and that, that's not an easy thing to do. And you got to remember, you'll never be certain about that. So let's talk about what lethargy is first of all, right? So lethargy manifests as a sort of a lack of physical energy. You don't have any stamina. Right? Whereas it's like a mental heaviness. So I know I've had that plenty of times. The mind, you just don't want to do it. You can't do it. Right? This is a lethargy. You can also feel quite bored, but but suddenly have a lot of energy to go to the movies or go to town. Right? But sleepiness is just drowsiness. And this can often happen when the room is too warm, or you've got too many warm clothes in, or the room is closed up. So that's quite easy to overcome. Just open up the windows. So if you just bought me a sort of air machine to clean the air that I have on my desk, and I put that on just to circulate the air around, because I'm sitting there for a long time. So this is really different, right? So lethargy is like a heavy mind, and you don't have much energy. Whereas sleepiness is just a sense of drowsiness.
More physically based.
Yeah, more physically based.
We could have sleepiness because we actually haven't had enough sleep, because we're really sleep deprived in our modern world.
Yeah. So the causes are the same for both of these. So that's a good thing to know, right? You don't need to go do this. These 5 causes for that and these other ones for this. It's not like that. The distinct mental factors, but the causes are the same, and the function is basically the same too. So bad dreams. So you have a lot of bad dreams during the day. It's like you haven't had any sleep, right? So you're going to feel sleepy, and you are going to be lethargic. Just a sense of mental unhappiness. Right? Just being unhappy makes you lethargic. You don't want to do anything. You're bored. People who are mentally unhappy basically sleep a lot. Physical exhaustion is another thing that can make you very lethargic, and you want to go to sleep. So when it's like it, have a sleep, have a rest. This is what this is all saying. It's like that. There's plenty of ways of doing it. One of the most simplest ones is make sure you rest well and drink water. So Miffy and I downstairs have got a, what do you call it, Miffy, a little machine?
Google Nest.
We've got Google Nest.
Google speaker.
Yeah, every hour it comes on, time to drink some water. So
And then we just go, yeah, later.
unbalanced food consumption and depression. So these all contribute to a sense of lethargy, sleepiness, and then an unwillingness to engage in the meditation. Or when you are engaging, it's very difficult. It's not, like I said, you don't have any energy to do it. The mind is dull, it's dark, all this sort of thing. So the idea of like putting this material up to you is, so if you recognize, you can go, oh, that's what this is. And now I know what it is, this is what I can do about it. So this is very important when you meditate. Otherwise, things are going to happen to you, you don't know why they're happening. You don't even know what they are. So Buddhism is this, I mean, it's amazing science. So when you read some of these books, you go, man, I wish Western psychiatrists and psychologists knew about this. Because they never talk about the mind like this. They talk about all these different factors of mind. And So the idea is that when you're meditating to identify them as they happen. So you can know, oh, that's why I've got this problem. Oh, now I know what to, I've got to find out. This is what I do. The next time you go to meditate, it pops up again, you go, now this is what I'm going to do. And you do it, and you check, how's it now? So when you oppose, here's a verse to oppose lethargy and sleepiness. It says, as you can see, the entire world is burning. The entire world is burning up by the fire of death, burning. You should be seeking means of escape. How then can you sleep? You're like a person in shackles being led to his execution. With disastrous harm so imminent, how can you sleep? So this is an opponent to sleepiness and lethargy.
So in a way, it's like anxiety is the opponent.
Yeah, that's right. There's a sense, so you're creating a sense of anxiety to stop you sleeping and to stop you being lethargic. And the anxiety is death. I'm reminding myself, oh my God, like, yeah, it's like I could die at any moment. Why do I just go to sleep then? Right? So not only that, anxiety is also to create a sense of fear, because fear can drive you to act. Like if you're scared of someone, like you can run, right? So here's like, don't go to sleep. Now's not the time to go to sleep. Now's the time to act. So we can use this recollection of death and impermanence to act.
And the action is meditation.
And the action is, yeah, rouse yourself. Okay, this is what I set myself to be. I'm doing this. Well, death could take place at any moment. So when it's like that, so it's quite interesting if you start thinking about death, right? And you read enough about it. So I'm just reading a book at the moment where it's about a psychologist and this woman who comes in to see him, and she's really, really unhappy. And the psychologist spends a whole year using his normal techniques and nothing is changing. Then he remembers, I can also do this hypnosis. I can regress you and find out some of the things that happened to you. So he does, and he finds that she was molested when she was 3 years old. And so that was brought up. And so when that's brought to her consciousness, it's released. And so she feels much better. So she keeps coming back and goes like, you know, that was a great thing, because I feel better now. But I'm not completely healed. So he goes, yeah, okay. So he starts taking her back, and lo and behold, in his hypnotic state, she dies. And then she's back again, and now she sees herself as somebody else. So this happens again and again. But what's really interesting, I found in the talk, was that each time she's aware that when she dies, because he always takes her there, she dies, and then she comes out of her body, and then she's always looking down at her body. And there's always a sense of peace. And then she finds herself in another life. So I thought of that. I thought, wow, look at that. So imagine if you knew that. And you go, okay, so when I come to die, I don't need to be afraid, because this is what's going to happen. I'm just going to leave this body. I'll stand, I'll be aware, but there'll be a sense of inner peace. And then I'll take birth again. I'll be reborn again. And something else will happen to me. So as it's, so I'm about a third of the way through the book. But as it's sort of going along, she's becoming more and more happier in this life, because so much of her past traumas are being released, and these past traumas are affecting her in this life. So, so now I think it's like, so when we become anxious, it's like, well, the first thing I need to do is relax. So how do I relax? It's like with the breath. The real simple way of relaxing is with the breath. You just bring your attention into something that's solid and grounded, so that mind is not distracted off, going everywhere. So we try and develop what we call karma body or serenity. There's two systems. And what the Garupa normally do is they put the two systems together, and they use the whole lot. So this is one of the, comes from one of the systems. And here you can see there are the 5 faults. They find 5 faults and 8 antidotes. And 4 of the antidotes are against laziness. So it says being lazy, forgetting the instructions, dullness and agitation, non-application and application. These are held to be the 5 faults. So here we have the faults. So we have the fault of laziness, and this is how you overcome laziness. Faith, aspiration, exertion, and pliancy. And there are basically 3 forms of laziness. So you can see there's quite, they really get into it, the Buddhists. Then that you forget the instructions. So in other words, we try to meditate, we're going to be opposed by our own inner hindrances. And when you are, there are instructions on how to deal with them. But if you forget the instruction, it's going to overwhelm you. That's what happens. So the opponent for forgetfulness is what we call mindfulness. Mindfulness is just remembering or recollection. I know what to do. I don't forget. So for instance, if we're meditating on patience, as we know we're angry, we meditate, now we go out into the world, right? And somebody does something, which they always will, and we feel the fear of, we're getting worked up, right? We're about to respond. Now, if you forget what to do in this situation, you're going to get angry. But if you remember, now you can oppose it. So this is why mindfulness is so important. So you might remember, what your mum said, just take a deep breath.
Count to 10.
Count to 10, right? You go, oh yeah, that's right. If you find yourself anxious, you'll notice the feeling of anxiety going through. Right? So you go, okay, so what was I to do then? It might be recollect the Buddha. Right? So you feel this, oh right, that's right, I've got to remember the Buddha. So straight away to your mind will appear perhaps like a statue of the Buddha or a figure of light or something. So your attention is put on that. If your attention is put on that, the anxiety is going to decrease pretty much immediately. Your mental states are fed by your attention. If you place your attention on the mental states, they love that. So one of the simplest antidotes is just move your mind off that object and place it on a different one. Now, we do this all the time. When we're bored, we go to the fridge, right? We go to the movies. We go to the stereo system. We take our mind off our boredom and we put on something else. Here, it's the same process. It's just like, oh, my mind is disturbed. I'm focusing on a person who makes me angry, for instance, so then I'm going to get angry. You go, okay, take your attention off that person. Place it on something else. It might be the person is suffering. So you stay on the person, but not the fact that they're making you angry, the fact that they're really in trouble. You go, oh, okay, that's the type of attention I've got to bring to this person. One of concern, they're in trouble. Rather than coming back at myself and feeling my own agitation and responding back. So this is the other thing. So 2 things will happen to you. Oftentimes you have either what they call laxity or excitement. So that's what you've got. So now we've got this other phenomenon called introspection. So you check your mind. Is it excited? Like if you're with the example I gave of the person who's like angry in front of you, you place it on them, are you going to get excited and get angry too? That's called like introspection. So introspection is not just about yourself, your own inner world, but towards the mindfulness. Like this is going on, like I'm being agitated. Introspection knows I am agitated, it knows there's an opponent, and the memory goes, yes, this, right? I will go, that's it, I've got to do this now, and so you do.
So Eddie, this happens like when I'm meditating, and then my mind will go off, and I'll get upset about something, or I'll get excited about something, and so that's kind of like a normal thing. Then you have the introspection to go, I've just
That's right.
got resentful about something, or I've just got a bit of craving.
Yeah.
And
then mindfulness goes, I'm to oppose that, I need to do this.
and then you remember what to do. Instead of going, I'm hopeless at meditating.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, or I'm a bad person, or anything like that. That's right. Yeah. So these two, mindfulness and introspection, are your major tools to remember what to do and to do it. And introspection tells you that you are doing it or you're not doing it. Or no, you're not, but how well you're doing it. So these are our major inner tools. So that there's lots of them, but these are the two main ones. So non-application is when you actually know the remedy, but you don't do it. You don't, it's called non-application. You don't do what you should do. And so, of course, you suffer if you're suffering, because you're not helping yourself. Right? The other one's called over-application. This is when everything's working out fine, right? But then you think, it could be better. So you over-apply. So yeah, that's another fault.
This happens in art as well. You're finished, you're finished, and then you go, I'll just do this little thing, and then you ruin it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's just like that. Yeah. So this laziness, we'll have a look at that now. And so there's three forms of laziness. The first is procrastination. This basically means that you sleep a lot, you lie around a lot, you don't do nothing much at all. You just procrastinate, what we call procrastinate. So you don't sit down to meditate because that wouldn't be procrastination. It's like you're doing especially anything else, or just maybe just lying on the couch, right? But there's another form of laziness, and that's to do everything. You're doing lots of things, but you're not meditating. Right? So you'd rather go to work, or you'd rather clean the house, or you do some gardening, something like that. This is another form of laziness. And the third form is, I can't do it. Well, so, like I said, a sense of self-contempt. So again, anything interesting there for you? Yes, I'm going by quite quickly, just putting out the major things to you. And like I said, those books I put up there, they go into it in a lot of detail. Yeah. So
Yeah, so one thing I found really useful was my voice counselling here.
Yeah.
It's really, really good in a busy setting place.
Yeah, so you just said what she found was very useful was having these noise cancelling headphones. Yeah.
And, just another thing I found really useful, I have rhinitis, which could be a curse, but it's actually really good because when I'm meditating and I sneeze, I realise, my mind's off again. So every time I sneeze, I realise, I'm thinking about dinner. That's effective.
So it was just like there about what's called rhinosinusitis. Rhinosinusitis. So if she sneezes, she'll know off she's not on her object. She can bring it back.
With the inadequacy and self-contempt, I've suffered from that a lot, and I've found that beating yourself up or trying to force yourself doesn't work. I just then have procrastination.
Yep.
But that it's encouragement of like remembering the benefit of doing it, or your own strengths or something like that counters it, which is kind of the opposite state of mind from a state of mind of self-contempt.
So we're going to look at this in our next slide.
Is it? All right, okay, because that's such a tricky one.
So we need to have oppose these forms of laziness, but we need to oppose them in some way. So here are the how we do that and the process of it. So we have to have what they call clear faith, inspired interest, and what they call wishing faith. So clear faith has got a number of different aspects. One is that you clearly know about this object. You know, you're going to meditate on something, you're going to go, what am I meditating on it? You clearly understand what that object is and what its function is. And so that's one thing. The other thing is that you have this clear conviction that you can do this. Yeah. So one way of doing that is this one, you know, this technique, it's been around for a couple of thousand years. All sorts of people have been able to do it. In fact, there's lots of stories in the text where people are just so terrible at meditating and then finally they're able to do it. And you can look at it and go, well, I'm not that bad. So obviously I can do it too. So there's that. Then there's recollection of what they call the perfect human rebirth. And you can go through the points and go, do I have that? And oftentimes you'll find, yeah, that's me. I'm one of those people. That means I can do it. The next one is Buddha nature. So you work out how the mind actually exists, and you go, well, it's possible. It's possible for me to place my mind on an object for just a couple of seconds. That's all I need to do. That's the first step. I clearly can do that. That's all it is. And I haven't said to people here, you know, so it's not when we meditate, we try to what they call visualize or you imagine something. And people say, oh, well, I can't do that. I said, have you ever worried? They go, oh, yeah. Said, well, you can meditate because that's what worry is.
You can visualize.
Imagine, right? Because you've placed your mind on an object that makes you worried. And you are worried. That's meditation. Putting your mind on an object, it's not a good object because look at the terrible outcome for yourself. Right? But you can meditate. You can place your mind on an object and hold it there and produce its effect. So we're pretty good at doing that on the bad side, on the side that's not so healthy for us. So we go, okay, now I'm just going to do it on the other side. Because I can certainly do it. It's just I haven't tried on the other side. So, well, give it a go. This inspired interest. This is where you've got to sort of know, like, what's the outcome? Because if you know the outcome, you know the goal, what's going to happen once you do it. You know, that's the thing, isn't it? If you know I'm just going to do this as $100 at the end of it, what do I have to do? You know, yeah, I can do that. Oh, I'll give it a go. You know, there's $100 there. Right? So you go. Same here. You got to go, what's the outcome? And then to wish it, it's called wishing faith. Now, so when I was a kid, it was probably the same as you. I used to have on my wall all these posters of different, well, they were rock stars at the time, right? And so I wanted to be like them. So that's this wishing faith. So some of my friends actually did take up musical careers, bought instruments and learned to play them. I looked at them and went, no, I don't want it that much. That's too much hard work. But I had a wish to become a great pool player, and I became a very good pool player. And that's because I wanted to. So I went down there. I loved the sound of the balls hitting each other. I loved that looking at the green table. I loved knocking them in. You know, so you want it because it makes you feel good. And meditation makes you feel better and better. It's not easy, but you do. You're better and better. And like Trungpa Rinpoche says, and Khyentse Rinpoche says, like, the better comes out of the fight, out of the struggle. Like you have to, it's not like, you have to, one of the terms for Buddha is like the victor right? The victor. But that's like a fight. But the fight's a very interesting one, right? Because the fight often just means let go, don't hold on. It's more the surrender, the fight. Well, it's not like the argy-bargy, but really Buddhism's a non-aggressive philosophy.
Eddie, for performers, they say it's getting out of your own way.
Yeah. Yeah, this is right. So this is the thing. What we find in our own way is our own disturbing emotions and so forth. And we're just going to relax and can go, or like find the opponents and put them in place. Now, from this comes this like a sense of you want to do this joyful yearning. Is there some success in it? We can actually notice. This is not something where you got to try really hard, as hard, and then it's good. It's not like that. It's not like you do all the stuff and there it is. It's like as you're doing it, it becomes better. And so once this yearning is joyful, then effort becomes irreversible. So Miffy and I are working downstairs at the moment. So she's been working on the calendar. I've been working at preparing meditations and a lot of stuff with artificial intelligence. So most times we go to bed between 2 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the morning, right? And we don't notice the time going by at all. And then we talk to each other about how joyful it is about what we're doing, right? And I can tell her these little things, I've got this and done that. And she tells me about the calendar and I keep going, it's amazing, isn't it, how happy you can be when you're doing the things that I'm doing on the website. Calendar on the website. Yeah, so it's a strange thing. You only sort of discover it through the doing of it. Okay, and then mind and body become flexible, workable. And this is just find this. This is what happens. So now, I mean, we don't have much time, but we're going to make it. So here is this map. Now there's this large picture that shows you how you go through these 9 stages to achieve serenity. Now the first stage of any of these meditations is it's called placing the mind. You place your mind on the object. And this picture is a symbol of all the stages you go through to place your mind on the object. So this is not an uncommon thing in Buddhism and in art too. You look at a picture and you go, what's that about? Because it's not just an object of your eyes, is it? Like it means something. So you go, what's it mean? So similar type of thing here. So the first part is that this, first of all, we have the power of hearing our spiritual mentors' instructions on how to cultivate serenity. This is symbolized by the building.
On the right.
On the far right there. So like we're in a building, aren't we? And you're hearing about it. That's what they put in the picture, the building. The building where you hear the instructions on how to meditate. This monk represents you, me, the person who's trying to meditate. And what they're doing is they're going to try and direct their mind towards their object of attention. Now, in his hands, he's got these 2 instruments. One is a rope, and one is like a hook. So the rope is mindfulness, and the hook is introspection. And this black elephant is this crazy black mind running away from them. And he's going to try and use this rope and this hook to grab hold of that elephant. Now, this elephant is being led away by a monkey, right? So the monkey has the rope in its hand, and the monkey is excitement and distraction. So it's pulling the mind away from the object you want to place it on. And at the side here, there's a large flame. And all the way through, so the flame is the largest here. And this represents the amount of effort you have to put in. So a lot of effort here. Right at the end is very, very little effort. There's hardly any flame at all. A big flame here. And on the sides, you can see these little pictures. There's some cloth hanging up. And these are the external objects you will be attracted to. And sometimes there's symbols, they're like sounds. Right? So you try and meditate, but then you hear a sound. Or you think of a song might pop into your head. Or you're sitting there and the feeling of the clothing you're sitting on or the seat starts to affect you. But and then you get distracted. That's right, you need a new seat or a different seat or these jeans are really digging into my, crease behind my leg. So all these different ways of being distracted.
So placing the mind's really a great big hot steaming mess.
And the elephant being lax is like this is laxity, the black. Monkey, distraction. And as this picture goes up, so each time we come, I'll introduce new aspects of the picture because it changes. There's a little white spot that appears on the elephant. Finally, the elephant's all white. The monkey gets to sit up on the elephant. Finally, the man is sitting on the elephant. It's like, now I've got control over my mind. But as you go through this picture, it shows you all the hindrances and what you overcome and the difficulties and so forth. So placing the mind, our problems are laziness and the solution is faith. So faith, again, you've got 3 types of laziness and 4 types of faith. So again, they really nut things down. And faith here is not like blind faith. It's one of the ways to describe is clear faith. You clearly know what you can do. And then the faith of conviction, like I'm convinced this can be done. I can do it. So some of the solutions here you'll see, like forgetting, read and listen. When you have coarse excitement, means tighten your focus. Because coarse excitement means the mind has been distracted. Right? So you need to know that and then come back and know I've got to just hold it here for a little bit. Like, keep it clear in mind. And you've got to be like proactive and allow a sense of joy. And so this is why it's always important at the end of your meditation, no matter how badly you think you went, you've always got to say, hey, I tried. That's great. The fact that I tried makes a difference. If you didn't try, well, it stays the same. So even when you sit down and try to think, I had a terrible meditation like last, I was so distracted. You noticed. That's good. You knew you were distracted. Have you ever done that before? No. Hey, terrific. Were you able to bring it back? No, that's okay. You knew you were distracted. It takes effort to pull it back. You have to, so sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Meditations are rarely the same when you're engaged in it. Now, the other thing, just to make you feel, give you some sort of sense of confidence, when you place your mind on the object, just the fact it only has to be, I think it's just a couple of seconds. That's it. You've succeeded. That's it. That's the first stage. It's just to place your mind on the object. So even if you're assailed by laxity and dullness and sleepiness or excitement and forgetting, just ask yourself, did I actually put it on the object? If you did, you succeeded. And remember that we are beginners. So we cannot expect just because we put it there, it's going to stay there. It's not. Right? We don't have the strength yet, but we're going to get the strength. It's like going to the gym. You know, like the first time, you know, you find a weight that you can lift, so you lift it. Hey, success. You don't know if you do it 4 or 5 times, just once. You go, I got it. And you keep going back, and now it's 4 times, and yeah, it hurts. But I did it 4 times, which is more than once, and you only have to do it once. So it's the same here, and like this is all mapped for you. This is this lovely thing. It's like, wow, so this is the first place, just place it. That second, just to know I've got it. You go, yeah, beautiful. And then we come, as we go through next week, we'll look at the second stage. And how do I know I've done that? You know, because we need to know these things. You give us more confidence to go, I can do this. The methods to overcome laziness, you know, so like I said, try and work out, why am I tired? Did you sleep well? Did you have bad dreams? Have you just eaten? The other thing is go, physical exercise is a great thing to do before you meditate. If you can really get your chest, what do you call that exercise? Cardio. Man, you do cardio before you meditate, gee, it's clear as anything. It's fantastic. Easy. But if you've been sluggish and tired or had a bad night's sleep or you've been just eating, that's not the time to meditate. You will make it hard on yourself. The other thing is, don't become too attached to the television series or the music or these sort of things, right? You're intensely pulled outwards if you are. So the other thing is that oftentimes when you sit to meditate, these are, you know, like you sit there to do one thing, and then inwardly the mind wants to go off and do something else. So this is what we call excitement or frivolity. We want to do something else. So the thing is, what I think I find really easy to do is just laugh. Isn't that funny? I just sit down here to do this and now I want to do that. So have a laugh at yourself with your own mind. Don't be too serious and tight because you'll make it difficult for yourself. The more repressive, disciplinarian, hard, this is not good. This is not the way to go. More relaxed, more relaxed.
I find with this one, rather than trying to talk myself out of the frivolity, I just remind myself, no, what I'm doing here is better.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what they call upholding the path. So all these practices are called path. There's a path. Our mind is the ground and the path. You lay a path on the ground. Well, this mind is the ground that we're working in. We'll go across it smoothly, we create a path. The tools we use to create that path are mindfulness and introspection, or mindfulness and vigilance. And what can really help us is between the sessions, if you've made promises about what you're going to do, keep your promises. Accumulate the causes to have a successful meditation. And guard your senses. In other words, so like, because we're working with our mental sense, right? We're coming inside. We're not using our eyes, ears, nose, all that sort of stuff. So when you're becoming this like, know that that's what you're doing. Like, somebody sitting here, right? So we know there's workmen next door. So we know, so we've got to guard the sense of hearing, right? So when they make that noise, we don't go, what are they doing? This and that, right? No, we know, we can't stop hearing it, but we're not going to pay attention to it. And lastly, study the topic. So when I became a really good pool player, I used to go home and draw pictures of the balls. I created a little pool table, and I'd have these little things and look at all the angles and stuff like that. When I'd go to the pool room, I'd get a line and rope from the ball to here and go, that's where I've got to hit it. I'd go home and look at it and imagine it. And I'd go there and destroy everybody because I was really interested in this game. You know? So same here, if you're really interested in what you're trying to do, and you want that.
Can you say a bit more about accumulated causes, what that means?
Okay, so some of the causes for successful meditation, one of the most obvious ones is a virtue. So a virtue is a sense of being right, doing the right thing. So if you've got stuff from your past, like deal with it in whatever way you can. If you know that you do things that are problematic, stop doing them. Like that says, don't kill. But stop killing. Killing comes from malice. Check your mind, right? Do I have a lot of malicious thoughts? If I do, that's going to get in the way. Malice and aggression, they're going to pop up. So what ways can I stop myself being malicious, aggressive? Do I steal things? Do I take things that I haven't asked for? If you do, stop doing it. Ask instead. Same with sexualist conduct, harsh speech, lying, divisive speech, all those sort of things, right? You just, those simple 10, go through those and restrain yourself and go, but why? Because I want my meditation to be successful. Rather sense of friendliness towards others. So put causes in to be happy. That'll make meditation successful. So okay, that's our interesting thing. Let's do a meditation to close off. So again, we just need to sit in your seat comfortably. This is most important to be comfortable. Now, when you take in this breath, make it a little bit deeper than normal, and then a longer exhalation. There's a big gap, and then deep breath in. One more time. Just notice that absence of thought. Your awareness is open. Everything can appear and it's all okay. So you're sort of curious with open awareness. Allow a sense of lightness. So allow the body to breathe itself. And as it does, allow a sense of wonder that you don't have to do anything. The body will do it. Body breathes, and you just watch. You can imagine your mind to be larger and wider than the sky itself. And that all the sounds you hear, the thoughts you think, be just like passing clouds. clouds that vanish into the sky itself. So with an open awareness, embrace all the sounds you hear. And then just gently open your eyes and carry the sense of calm and pliancy back out into the world with you. So our takeaways for today, we learned a little bit about laziness and sleepiness and lethargy. That they have antidotes. And you place the mind on its object, it only has to be for a couple of seconds, and you've done it, you've accomplished it. And in terms of further study, we have some material up on the website. So there's a section there called FPMT notes, there's another section called LTC notes, LTC extras. In each of these places, there's material there that you can draw upon to help you. The FPMT notes, pages 21 to 25, is short teaching. LTC notes, pages 25 to 30, how to create a conducive environment. The LTC notes, page 37 to 39, there are these what they call preliminaries. Again, it's got different antidotes to different problems you'll meet up with when you go to meditate. And there's an article there about faith, what faith is and how you can use it, the different types of faith. And this on LTC extras, using faith, class notes number 1. So, I put that up there deliberately because we already have ideas about faith, but they're very different than what the Buddhist ideas about faith are. And next we're going to look about forgetfulness, how we can forget the object, and how often that's to do with excitement, restlessness and regret, and the antidotes to them. So I saw that none of you are overcome with lethargy or sleepiness or laziness. So that's really good. So that's merit, right? That's energy, good energy that we've got. So we're going to direct that towards the goal.
I just wanted to say one thing, just in terms of a conducive environment. So just the other day I went to this concert in a cathedral in the city, and you'd think it'd be a conducive environment, really quiet and beautiful, echoing environment. And in every single quiet moment, there was this rumbling like an aeroplane was coming into the cathedral. And what it was there was a nightclub next door. And so the boom, boom, boom of the beat changing would just rumble through, and then all the noises coming, and it came in through the entire concert. And I'm like, this is a cathedral in the middle of the city, and it's just raucous and not conducive at all. Anyway, so now I'm really appreciating here. We just got, a few bangs and just some cars, but there's like no nightclub music.
Not yet.
Not yet, that's right. Sorry. Anyway, sorry.
So it creates some merit and positive energy, especially towards meditation. So direct us now towards the goal that we're seeking. So you all have a reason for being here, a purpose. So think about that. You think about how this, if you achieve this goal, how it will also affect other people. and think that you want to bring about a really good effect. Let's say these prayers together. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of the Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel, bodhicitta, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline but increase forevermore. And as long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, may I too remain to dispel the sorrows of the world. For our last year, our spiritual mentor, our primary spiritual mentor, Lamas Open Boucher, passed away. We're making aspirational prayers that a person called Lamas Open Boucher will now reappear in the world with a new name, new body, but he'll know us and we'll know him. So in holding and spreading the moon's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice, you wore the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable, edible Guru, to you and make the service. Okay, that's the end of our session for today. Thank you everyone here, and thank you those online.